This module is called Exploring the Inner Landscape, Singing the Song of Ourselves. In this module, we'll explore some of the most significant practices that will aid us in our lifelong journey to loving ourselves. Funnily enough, I hear from many clients, "How can I learn to love myself? I don't even like myself." A wise person offered me this key. They said, "We can't think our way to self-love, but we can act our way there. It is the mind that's giving us the negative messages. We may be out of touch with the ways our minds talk to us. Trying to persuade the mind to change is like asking a dark room to light itself. When we begin acting in loving ways toward ourselves, it's like flipping the light switch. We act, and the mind listens." Surprisingly, I hear from people that as soon as they start treating themselves lovingly, wonder of wonders, they discover that deep down they've loved themselves all along. So a lot of what we're doing here is remembering, clearing up a misunderstanding about ourselves and perhaps how we've been taught to think. Action is the key, and all it takes is a beginning. We might begin by asking ourselves, how would I treat my own newborn child? Let's take a moment to sit with that question. How would I treat my own newborn child? As we think of caring for a tiny baby, our most tender responses awaken, and what if that baby is our own selves? It might seem like a miracle, but even if we've been neglecting ourselves for a long time, we can begin to treat ourselves just like we would our newborn. How sweet it is for us to imagine how we would do that. And here is our first practice, caring for our newborn. Let's close our eyes and picture ourselves holding our baby. Let's look down at the baby and notice how our face softens. We can feel the look in our eyes. This is love. Now let's ask ourselves, how would I take care of my baby? Let's sit quietly and imagine just how we would treat this little one. We would cuddle it close. Let's picture ourselves holding the small child in our arms. Let's see ourselves touching the baby with utmost tenderness. We can picture ourselves feeding it the best food, the perfect food for a baby. We can see ourselves keeping it warm or cool, depending on the weather. Let's watch ourselves giving it fresh air and sunshine. We can imagine ourselves taking it for walks and showing it the wonders of the world. Of course, we will want to give it plenty of rest. When it's tired, we can put it to bed. We can pat its little bottom and sing it a lullaby. Let's listen to ourselves speaking to it sweetly. We may sing to the little one, laugh with it, play with it. Let's listen to our voice telling it how much we love it. Let's open our eyes. This is a wondrous thing. We change our perception of ourselves by acting in a different way. If we give ourselves the care we would give a newborn, we will find ourselves falling in love. In the beginning, perhaps, we can act as if we do love ourselves. If the decision is to love ourselves, then acting lovingly toward ourselves is a first mighty step in that direction. It doesn't matter what motivates us to begin. One of the easiest things to do to create a self-loving life is just pay attention to these small actions every day. When we provide to ourselves as adults what every newborn baby needs, a miracle may occur. As we do these things that allow us to feel cared for as we would care for our newborn, the sense of self-love becomes a warm glow inside us. Once we make the decision to love ourselves and start moving, the light begins to brighten that room darkened by negative thinking. We're beginning the process of Into Me I See, the first step of intimacy. Probably every one of us wonders, who am I? Why am I here? Let's look. Do we play the flute? Go mountain biking? Design and build a garden shed in the backyard? Do we dig in the earth, encouraging flowers, veggies, and herbs to grow? Tie flies and wrap our own fishing rods? Knit hats for the newborns at our neighborhood hospital? Let's take a look and see the things we're naturally drawn to. This is one of the ways we begin to know ourselves better, and part of life's magic for each of us is in discovering how we express our own individual vital force. Quite a number of the people I've worked with tell me they don't know what they like, much less what they love. A hint often helps. I ask them, what did I like to do as a kid? And even though it may take a moment, they usually remember. Seeing a clearer picture of what we love, what we are naturally drawn to, provides myriad small and perhaps big things with which to fill our cup. Funnily enough, as for me, I still love the water and boats. I still am contemplative, and while I love people, I love being by myself. I still collect small, quote-unquote, treasures and have collections of my treasures in every room of the house. Here's another of my favorite practices, the love to-do list. In our notebook or journal, let's make a list of everything we love to do. We can add to our list or change at any time. From little things like making ourselves a cup of tea when we come in from work to big things like rebuilding cars or bikes, we can see what we love. Then, sitting down, we make a second list. Things from our love to-do list we've done in the last 24 hours. How much of my love to-do life am I living? The pivotal question may be, what would I do if I were free to do anything I like? Then we may ask, what's important to me, not to anyone else, just to me? May I reassure us that there are many ways into ourselves. I believe we each have a guiding wisdom within us, which supports our becoming more and more true to ourselves. We can trust the things that feel right to us. Let's look at another idea. Besides filling my cup and exploring what it is that I myself, all by myself, love, one of the most significant practices in turning my life around was to write about my ideal day. As I sat down and wrote my list of things that fill my cup, then how I would care for myself as my own newborn, then what I love, I was surprised to find that I had been missing out on many of the things I really enjoyed. Then I gave myself the joy of writing what my ideal day would look like, and my life began to really change. Here's our practice, my ideal day. And again, I encourage you to open your notebook or your journal and write. First, the question, if today were the only day there is, and I could have it any way I wanted, what would my day look like? Let's begin with the moment we wake up in the morning and describe in detail every moment until bedtime. Again, when we've done this, we can ask ourselves, how much of my ideal day did I live yesterday? How much of that day am I living today? The answer may be 20% or 40% or even 80%. It doesn't matter. From this day forward, we can commit ourselves to a new intention. From this day forward, we can begin to live that day. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We can refine the thoughts about our ideal day anytime we want, but this helps us create forward movement into a life we'll love. Funnily enough, I find that my ideal day begins with when I put myself to bed the night before. If I'm going to begin the day fresh and rested, it's easier to live more of that ideal day, that very day, if I've gotten good sleep the night before. Our ideal day doesn't have to be dramatic or splashy in any way. It can be the simple, loving day that brings a sense of rightness, of ease, of peace. Intimacy. Into me I see. The processes of filling our cup, revisiting what we love to do, and envisioning what our ideal day would look like begin the journey of true intimacy with ourselves. We add the tender care we are beginning to take of ourselves as we picture ourselves as our own baby. Then we see that in intimate life, we will want to explore what it means to befriend ourselves. As we begin to focus on ourselves and give ourselves the love we've been hoping would come to us from others, we discover that not only are we doing well, but everyone else does just fine. We don't have to try to make anyone happy but ourselves. We can take the time and give ourselves the spaciousness to investigate ourselves, to know who we are, what we like and want, what our dreams are, what direction we want our lives to go in. We can also take the steps to live the life that is our own. Perhaps in the end, there is only one thing asked of us in this life: to discover who we are and to be that person. As I have heard from many people, we sometimes think that if we look closely at ourselves, we will only find fault. The opposite turns out to be true for most of the people I work with. The journey of coming to know ourselves, to see who we truly are, for most people turns out to be a journey into compassion and love. Once begun, that journey may very well turn a topsy-turvy life right side up. In knowing ourselves, we can become our own friend. What we may have been looking for from others in the outside world, we find in ourselves. As I see it, it has been extremely demanding work to forget who we are, what our dreams are, where we're headed. Happily, as we plumb the depths of ourselves and get to really know this person we live with, that is ourselves, who we usually find as someone we like, someone whose company we enjoy. Then amazingly, the only thing we have to do to have our ideal relationship with a beloved partner is to fall in love with ourselves. Loving a beloved person begins with our loving ourselves. When the cup of our own lives is full of love, it will naturally overflow on our beloved as on everyone we meet. Here's a lovely invitation for each of us. Let's sing the song of ourselves. How do we know what our song is, and how can we sing it? I picture that there is a me each of us always wanted to be. I believe it is the me we always knew we were in our hearts. When we listen to and claim our true selves, we become this me more each day. Discovering and singing the song of ourselves and befriending ourselves is a lifelong project. May we creatively craft and live the gentle flow of our days. Give the natural consideration for ourselves and our loved ones. Really do the things we do to express our uniqueness. Let's do what's fun for us. Those things on our love to-do list, the gentle unfolding of our ideal day. Let's befriend ourselves. Let's sing our song. Even when we get comfortable practicing self-inquiry, at heart, each of us is still a mystery to ourselves and others. This is as life is and as it must be. It's good, actually. Because of this, there is always more to discover and enjoy. We remain curious, and life remains interesting. As we listen into ourselves, we can enjoy the mystery of who we are, and that brings richness to life. Though we will always be a mystery to ourselves, as we explore our inner landscape, we become more and more at home with being who we are. Let's not only explore the mystery, let's welcome ourselves and be charmed by the person we meet within. We ourselves are a secret deep down. As we choose to live in search of the key to that mystery, life becomes more and more worth living. As I see it, this is where joy comes from. It is joy that bubbles up from that mystery deep down in each of us. Happiness is an inside job, and when each of us pays attention to our inner world, we can bring our happiness not only to ourselves, but to each other also. So here we are. We're getting to know ourselves, to be kind to the person we find in ourselves, to accept ourselves as we are. The gentle journey offers and opens the way to happiness for ourselves and to share with one another. It's all about the small things, the kind of happiness that allows us to befriend ourselves from the inside out is made up of many small pleasures stitched together, those very things that fill our cup. As we fill our cup each day with small kindnesses to ourselves, we will find a sense of contentment and ease settling in. Then, what a gift we have to share. We may find ourselves wondering, who am I befriending? We are becoming a friend to this person we are, a work in progress, a tender heart doing its best, looking within, seeing what there is to see, willing to look, to feel, to see themselves as they are right now. Sad to say, though, as I said before, as I work with couples and individuals, many tell me they don't even like themselves very much. They are often baffled by this unhappy fact, and they can't see a way out. To me, it is not surprising that low self-esteem has become one of the defining characteristics of modern life. Why is this so? As I see it, many of us were raised in shame-based family systems, given the impression that we didn't measure up to some imagined ideal of being the perfect kid. We were chastised and criticized, perhaps by our school and religious communities, as well as at home by our parents and siblings. The problem is that as we grow from child to adolescent to adult, we often take on the role of punishing parent in our own minds and lives. We continue chastising and criticizing ourselves, often even worse than the initial punishing treatment we received as children. The question is, what can turn a lifetime of painful self-criticism around? Several years ago, I heard a woman say something that helped me with my own self-critical voice. She said, "High self-esteem is made up of many small, esteemable actions." That is, to love myself, I have to fill my cup with what I find esteemable. Again, it's all about the action. Here's another opportunity to do some writing. Let's do this practice. What are our esteemable actions? Let's write them down. Esteemable actions are those we value. They include self-care, how we live in our relationships, and how we show kindness to others and the planet. Like the color of our eyes, what we each find esteemable is unique to us. We sit quietly with ourselves, we ponder, we make a list. Here's a bit about what happened with me. Thinking about what my esteemable actions might be, I decided to do my best to fill my cup and my day with them. After trying this for a while, I discovered I was becoming a little easier on myself, less critical, kinder. Then one day, I noticed, I was smiling for no reason. I was the same person I had always been, but I was starting to fall in love with myself. The only thing that changed was how I looked at myself, and that didn't happen because I tried to convince myself that I was lovable. It happened because I started to fill my cup each new day. Little by little, I found that instead of being someone who had to be pushed and pulled into line by myself as punitive parent, I found myself to be likable and quietly amusing. The longer I've done this, the more amusing I find myself. And of course, change takes time, sometimes a lot of time. Good thing there's no hurry. Let's take a moment to get really practical about building self-esteem. May I remind us of what we might consider when exploring what we value in life. Let's start by looking at how we care for our bodies. First, maybe we delight in our breath. Remember to breathe. Enjoy it. Next, may we eat with reverence and gratitude, remembering those who grow, present, and prepare the food, to honor that the universe nourishes and sustains us. Let's think of the sun shining on the earth and the rain coming down to bring forth the food that we eat. Let us say thank you. Then, knowing that the human body is made up mostly of water, may we replenish our inner sea by drinking enough water throughout the day. And may we rest into life, slowing down, getting enough sleep at night, taking time to rest during the day. May we exercise, both for strength and vitality, paying attention to what works for us, honoring the body that we have and what we're drawn to. Then, after considering how we care for our bodies, let's look beyond physical self-care and explore how we nourish our spirits, to honor what our inner life needs to feel satisfied and well-fed too. I believe that keeping some time for solitude is essential to our living high self-esteem, time to befriend ourselves, to see what lovely companions we are to ourselves. Here's an idea. We can regularly take ourselves on a date for one, thinking what we'd like to do and just going ahead and doing it. I like the idea of taking myself on a date every week. How we feed our inner garden is as important as feeding our physical bodies. We may choose to be part of a spiritual community, seek the divine in nature, dance with the Sufis, learn a meditation technique. There are many ways to feed our inner being. There's also plenty of time to relax and have downtime, to enjoy uplifting companions, to play. Let's give ourselves the gift of time. The world is a big place and humans are nesting creatures. Let's create a home for ourselves, a sanctuary in which we can celebrate being ourselves. One last thought in this module. If we are going to build a life of self-love and high self-esteem, we have to be willing to experiment. If we are alert and receptive to the promptings of our inner voice, we may well see the places in ourselves that are ready to change. Little by little, we may find ourselves putting down the heavy weight of our old walls and patterns of behavior that no longer serve us and the life of love we are moving into. All that's asked of us is to make a beginning in being true to ourselves. Next, we'll explore what we can give this world and then dive into some healing practices.